Ever wonder if someone could get complete access to your phone, your calls, messages, even your real-time location without you ever touching it? It really does sound like something straight out of a spy movie, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig in and uncover the surprising and frankly kind of scary truth. So let's just get right to it. The big question. Is it actually possible for a hacker to get into your phone without you clicking a bad link, downloading a shady app, or making any mistake at all? The answer is a pretty fascinating yes. But to really understand how it's possible, we have to take a trip back in time, way back to the very beginning of the telephone itself. So our journey starts long before smartphones, back in an era of wires and cranks and human operators. Because believe it or not, the blueprint for some of today's most sophisticated hacks was actually drawn more than 100 years ago. Okay, so after Bell's invention back in 1876, the phone itself wasn't really the biggest challenge. The real puzzle was connecting everybody to each other. For decades, there was no dialing, no automation. Every single call was connected by a person, which brings us to the age of the switchboard. It was this really personal, almost intimate process. You'd pick up your phone, and a little light would blink on a massive board at a telecommunications center. An operator would ask you who you wanted to call, not by number, but by name, and then they'd look them up in a giant book and physically plug your line into theirs with a cable. So simple, so personal, and as you can probably imagine, not exactly a system that was going to work for millions of people. So the move from human operators to automated dialing was a massive leap forward in efficiency. But you know how it goes with technology, right? With automation came a brand new problem, the system's first major security loophole, which led to a really clever kind of hack. And that hack got this really cool name, phreaking. You see, every button you pushed on your phone created a unique sound, a special audio tone. The network used these sounds not just for dialing numbers, but for everything, for commands, for billing, the whole shebang. Well, phreakers figured out that they could actually exploit the very sounds the system relied on to work. So get this, here's how the whole trick worked. A phreaker would call a free number, like an 800 number. As soon as they were connected, they'd play specific audio tone that basically faked the hang-up signal. The toll-free server would think the call was over and disconnect on its end. But the hacker's line? It was still wide open. They could then dial any expensive international number they wanted, and the network would just bill it as part of that original free local call. Pretty brilliant, huh? Obviously, the telecom industry couldn't just let this keep happening, so to fix this whole phreaking problem, they built a powerful, brand new system that, and this is a classic twist of irony, unintentionally opened the door to a much more serious and invisible threat. The solution was actually really elegant. The core problem, right, was that your voice and the network's secret control signals were all traveling on the same highway. So the fix was to split them up. As you can see, they created two separate lanes, one for your conversation and a totally separate, inaccessible one just for all the control signals. Just like that, hackers couldn't trick the system with sounds anymore. This new, supposedly more secure network was called Signaling System Number 7, or just SS7. Honestly, the best way to think about SS7 is like this central nervous system for all the world's phone networks. It's the invisible traffic controller working behind the scenes that routes your calls, delivers your texts, and just handles all the essential plumbing that makes it all work. And this is it. This is the moment we've been building up to, because this very security upgrade, this SS7 system, is what unlocked the ability to hack a phone without the user ever interacting with it at all. So what went wrong? Well, the system's fatal flaw was that it was built on a handshake deal, basically. When SS7 was created, there were only a handful of huge, trusted phone companies. But as the world went mobile, hundreds, then thousands of new providers all connected to the same trusted network, and not all of them had the same level of security. This created weak links that hackers could break into, or in some cases, they could just straight up buy access to the SS7 network. And once they were inside, an attacker could do some incredible things. They could literally just send a command through the SS7 network telling your provider, hey, from now on, send a copy of this person's calls and text messages over to me. They could also just ask the network, hey, which cell tower is this phone connected to right now, and get your precise real-time location. And this, right here, is the absolute key, the most critical takeaway. All of this happens entirely on the network side. It's an attack on the infrastructure, not your phone. There is no link for you to click, no app to install, and absolutely zero mistake on your part. It is completely 100% invisible to you. So you might be thinking, did the networks just throw up their hands and accept this? Of course not. They fought back. But as it always goes in the world of cybersecurity, this just started a whole new game of cat and mouse. The main defense they came up with was to install firewalls on the network. These were designed to spot and block suspicious requests. So, for example, if a request to track your phone in New York suddenly came from a server in, say, another country, the firewall would go, "Whoa, hold on, that looks weird," and it would block. But hackers are always clever, right? They found a way around it. Instead of attacking from a server that was far away, they would first hack into or rent a server inside the target's own country. Now, when the attack request came from that local server, it looked like normal, legitimate network traffic to the firewall, and it would just let it right through. And it's really important to remember this wasn't some theoretical problem. This SS7 flaw was a massive issue, especially for the 2G and 3G networks that millions of people around the world still rely on every single day. So for a long, long time, the answer to our question was a definitive yes. It was absolutely possible to hack a phone without touching it. And that finally brings us to today. Newer networks like 4G and 5G, they use much more advanced protocols that were specifically designed to fix these SS7 flaws. But this whole journey, from manual switchboards to global signaling networks, it teaches us a really vital lesson. As our technology gets more and more complex, new vulnerabilities are always going to be found. The cycle of attack, defense, and innovation, it never really ends. So the question isn't just if we're secure now, but for how long.